Better turn this down.
Good afternoon. Tom Ginn and Mark Gassert, Elevate Your Profits. We will be right back. Hey, good afternoon, Mark. It's been since we've been together on Elevate Your Profits. So
yes, it's what you've been away for a week, and so have I, more or less. And
yeah, I went to a business conference and in Las Vegas. Vegas is a different conversation, but the conference was absolutely phenomenal. Came back with a lot of business ideas and ways to implement what we're doing more effectively and that type of thing. So I'm glad I went. Got away with the wife for 4 or 5 days. Traveling is still a challenge. I tell you what, cancellations and delays, all that is still a challenge. It's not as easy it used to be. And if you haven't traveled in a while, it's crazy. Just take a day earlier because you won't make it in time. More
So did you have to wear a mask and all that and do all that fun stuff or not? Or
no, I was on the next day after the Supreme Court ruled that the airlines, you don't have to make it optional to wear a mask. So
how about that?
Great timing because I would not have been a happy camper being masked up and not breathing. I had my game plan all set up to eat peanuts the entire way. And, but no, it was, that was a positive. That was interesting to watch. Probably 90% of the people didn't wear masks, and still have people out there that, just their choice and what they believe. But it was kind of nice not having to wear a mask.
So you said Vegas, like they always say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So this business trip, everything didn't just stay there. So you were doing things above board. You weren't getting wild and crazy and running around the strip and,
Oh, absolutely not, Mark. I wasn't feeling that well. I had the little chronic thing come up in my elbow, but thank God I had some remedies and some people around me to support me, at doctors and that type of stuff with a bad elbow, something no one really wants. It's called pseudo gout, and it's pretty intense. But hey, I'm doing great now, and all that. So
good.
Yeah.
Well, and you had a good weekend, I take it. Did you do some things, or just chill out?
Oh, this last weekend just chilled out, sort of catching up on some things, and just things stacked up. So
gotcha.
Still chilled out though. And I told you this morning when we talked, I lost my wallet, but I found my wallet today.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah, after I did all my banking stuff and my driver's license renewal, it was wedged between my seat and my console in my car. I couldn't see it.
Now you feel like a total boo-foo, don't you?
Absolutely. It comes with the territory, but
Yep, I've done things like that. I think we all have. So I had a pretty good weekend. I do have to give a shout out here, and I'm going to, if by chance Eric Slaughter is listening to this. Yesterday I had and I'll say privilege and honor working with an umpire that does junior college. He does high school on a real high level. And it was a lot of fun working with him. And you learn a lot when you're with different people out there in the field. So, there's a partner I work alongside of a lot, Wayne. But Eric, it was a lot of fun. It was a joy, and just learned a lot. We had a lot of fun out in the field. Of course, there were always some little hiccups along the way where, some of the coaches wanted to shout across the field. And we always walk up to them and say, hey, do this the right way and talk to me. Don't yell across the field. That's not how it's done. You got to come out and talk to us. So, yeah, we got all that straight. And it wasn't too hot. It was nice. And, I think I got hit once, and I think it was my fault. I might have turned into it. I got hit in the hip, but no biggie. That's the hazards of being behind there. But other than that, good baseball, good games, very close, and always a lot of fun being outside. I will give another shout out, to two other gentlemen that were in pain, and I came to their rescue with you gave a little bleep there on the, both of them tried this right here. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of this particular product, but it's called Renew 28, and they put it on their knees, and the pain went away. And it was kind of amazing to hear the results when they were actually out there. I said, how do you feel now? I really don't feel anything now. I feel okay. So
that's it. We'll be talking more about
specifics. Sure. I'm not going to bang the drum for all that, because I know why we're here tonight. And this is something near and dear to my heart. And you mentioned it, and I'll throw it out there. Some people say that we're heading into a recession of some sorts. And you said earlier, before we got started, Mark, it's already happening. And as I went grocery shopping with my wife, as I attempted to fill up my car this weekend, and other services, because now we're getting flooring done in our house. Yeah, the price is kind of going up, and that supply chain thing, it's really becoming an issue out there in a lot of the manufacturing world. Just anybody that's, has equipment, parts, steel. I could go through the cars. We could get into that, automobiles, dealerships, what they're dealing with. And, these are some of the things you're going to touch about here on tonight. And I can't wait to, now that it's happening, are people going to say, well, you just need to make more money? I understand that, but not everybody's in that same boat, depending on their age and where they're at in life. So,
yeah, we'll be talking about the realities, of how we plan for retirement. What economic situations are occurring right now that are putting your assets in jeopardy, and how do you protect them, or how do you increase your income? And I'm going to show some equivalency. So, well, you need another $2 million at 5%. To generate $4,000 a month income, but where can I get 2 million? Well, we're going to share some things that I've been using. For nearly 40 years. I've been teaching, having residual income, and what does that mean? How do you find those vehicles that can do that? Because many people, statistically, I can say this, Mark, is that most people aren't prepared to retire. Or if they do have assets, with the economic impact of inflation, they don't have enough dollars to support the lifestyle that they anticipated.
right.
So how do you bridge that gap? If you haven't got time, or if you have assets that are diminishing, what's the best vehicle that you can do? And it's called having an asset equivalent, an income that comes in that's giving you a monthly income that equates. If you had $1 million in the bank at 5%, what does that equate in a monthly? You don't have $1 million in the bank, but you have a vehicle. And there's lots of vehicles out there. We're not going to promote just one, but we want to help people better understand that surviving financially is, if you're relying strictly on your linear income, you're trading hours for dollars, and you're saving and putting money away on a regular basis, you're still at risk of not having the assets that you need to give you the lifestyle that we all really want it, whatever retirement means. And everybody has a different definition of that. So
right.
we did a talk here a while back on the areas that are affecting us in a big way is taxation, inflation, those type of things. So today it's more about what's the equivalent of creating a side gig, if you want to put it in those terms, or a side business that can run parallel to what you're doing without conflict,
Right.
and create that extra $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 a month. Is it going to happen overnight? It's only relative how much energy you put into it. But what if you could create a legacy income for your family? I'm posing these questions. What's a legacy income? It's a business that generates income whether you're there or not. And wouldn't it be nice to never have to touch your asset? I don't have to touch my asset base for my retirement to support myself. I've got residual incomes, so I never have to touch my long-term investment strategies. And I want to continue building that residual income, legacy income up, so I can use that money to support a cause, support my family,
Right.
whatever it is. So because I come from a background of financial services, Mark, a lot of people are not aware of that. 20 some years, insurance, securities, money management. And I've applied those principles myself. I've applied those principles like Robert Kiyosaki and some of these other people that are out there having residual income, Ben Gay, understanding what network marketing does and those type of things. I've been applying those.
Hey, since you mentioned network marketing, isn't there something new out there called next level marketing, which you could probably talk about at some point?
Yeah, we can, matter of fact, we can probably bring in a guest to talk about that specifically that really can differentiates. There's some myths out there about what network marketing is,
Right.
how what they call the old world way of doing it versus
Sure.
new way. It's if you're working and developing people in a business, no matter where the brick and mortar, a traditional business, if you're developing people, you will develop more income. You will develop more assets. So this new concept, a new business model, is all about developing people to their fullest potential. And the product does it on the health side. Then on the business side is helping people understand how to serve other individuals at a higher level. And that's part of a business model. That's so refreshing, Mark, than everything being transactional and hype and all that stuff. There's a lot of great opportunities out there, but there's a lot of hype out there. There's a lot of people promoting things that they're not even they're just promoting things and they're not experienced the results. I'm not saying that on everybody, but there's a lot out there that is illusions. But I always encourage people, if you're looking at opportunities, there are a lot of things to look at. We'll cover that at another time. What you should be looking at in other business models to, have confidence it's going to be around and they're doing business for the right reasons. And, so
well, look I don't mean to interrupt you here, but do you see who says two very, very kick-ass gents up here right now? Love and appreciate you both. Thank you, Christopher. That's Chris Rosh, Mr. Badass himself. He's an excellent coach. He'll make you think.
You know what I like about Chris? There's no fluff.
Oh no.
He gets right to it. If you're going to make changes in life, you got to approach things at an emotional level. And he does a great job of getting people emotionally involved in their thinking and what they're doing. So, Chris, you're doing a great job, my friend.
Right. I always hop on there and rant every now and then about things when he's doing his thing, whether it's Tuesday or Friday. And let's not forget Scott Goyette as well. Mr. Go Love himself. I still say, Chris, and you can tell Scott that the Hawks are looking for a small forward. I think he could probably fit the bill. I don't know what his speed and agility is like, but he said he's pretty good. Thanks. You guys rock. I'm just being me. And you do a great job, Chris. And
thanks for the comments. You guys are awesome. Tag and share out there. So
yeah. Yeah, Chris said that Scott on a sidebar said he probably could. He said he's tall. I've met him twice now, and I'm 6'1". So if Chris is 6'1", yeah, I figured Scott's probably somewhere in the 6'5" and above range. You know,
Yeah.
could just tell. It's always good to catch up to people here. There's a guy right there, Chris, when you talk about, what are you doing to better yourself? And he's gone through some situations. I know he deals with pain. He got off the meds, so to speak. So he really is a tough dude in my book.
Yeah. Chris, you're out there, you should reach out to Mark or myself. We may have something that may be extreme benefit for you. So, reach out to us and we're glad to share that with you.
Yeah, he said 3 weeks of no Percocets. That's outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings us up to, you're getting into all these things. And if you just joined us, Chris, we're talking about how things via the supply chain, which it affects a lot of different industries. And what about that illustrious thing called healthcare that we all have to deal with? And it's not just if you're hurting, take a pill. That's what scares me. If ever I did seriously take ill, would that be the cure? And some people live in that world. They take numerous medications. I don't know how they do it.
Well, Mark, and that's like we say, it's going to be a whole. I'm creating a new program on Wednesdays that's related to what we're doing in the health space called Own Your Own Health, and we're bringing in people to. It's only people in America today don't understand what health is. They think they look good and they feel good, but underneath things that we are create,
Right.
we end up having issues come up. But how
Right.
can you prevent them? What are the things you can do? So I'm pretty passionate. Wealth. If you don't have health, right, Mark?
Right.
There's no wealth that you
Right.
can accumulate
Well,
to have a quality of life on a health thing.
yeah. I think my dad summed it up best. God rest his soul. He lived to be 95, but he said, when you have your health, you have your wealth. And when I was younger, I didn't understand that, but now I do. Because if you don't have the health, you can't be a badass like Chris out here. And he shared with us, what was it? Uh, Cisco Truth. Yeah, he's a trip. SCM operations. Yeah, that was his last corporate job. For 20 years, he did that. So yeah, I couldn't picture Chris the way he looks now, but probably back then, his corporate job, because he's got the bandana thing. He's just a different look. And to some people, they probably like look at him and go, man, I don't know. But I remember when I first met him, I liked him right away. And that was like, I guess, Chris, about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Whenever the pandemic thing kicked
yeah.
in,
Oh, absolutely.
we got a whole new world of people like Chris and all the people out there. Thank God, I'm going to plug Ken Walls. That teaches
Oh,
how
there's
to
another guy.
train.
Yep. Yep. I would
You
have never
know,
met Ken, if it hadn't been for this craziness.
we would never be met, Mark. Right?
Right. I didn't know you, and I still have never met you in the flesh. And you're all the way in the Great White North up there in Wisconsin land, and I'm down here whistling Dixie at Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Um, he said, can you pull that up? I can't read. He says, I'll send a suit and a tie court pick. Oh my goodness. He said, people kill themselves for their ego and money, but then spend all the, yeah, amen to that, and get health back. Yes, yes, absolutely, Chris.
Yeah.
I love that one. People kill themselves for their ego and money, but then spend all that money to get health back. Hashtag no regrets. Yeah.
Yeah. We people invest in the
And,
wrong things,
and
in my opinion.
I'm going to go back to this, and I know people probably say, "Oh God, here goes Gassard, he's preaching." But that greatest generation, which most of them are gone now, they taught us a lot by their example. some of the things you're going to talk about, Tom, that and what Chris is talking about, their health. Unfortunately, you know, they didn't have all the breakthroughs as they got older in life, you know, medically. But, you know, my dad was fortunate enough to make it to be 95, and I know how he did it. You know, he did take care of himself, you know, and he didn't abuse alcohol, you know, and all that other fun stuff. And although he's seen people where it's ruined their lives, you know.
Yeah. You know, that Greatest Generation had a diet that had nutrition to it.
Yes.
It wasn't
I
filled
was
with
just going to say,
chemicals and
they stayed hydrated too.
yeah.
You know, they really did. I know my dad drank a lot of water. He truly did.
Wow, you know, we're sort of getting in the weeds, but we're not in the weeds because it's so important. There we go.
Look at that. We got ringing going on out here.
We've got some ringing. But, you know, I'm going to talk about something that's been dear to my heart, and hopefully anybody that's out there, just tag and share this. You know, what we're sharing, you know, grab what is relevant to you and leave the rest, or take it, use it, or whatever the case may be. But I can say this with certainty, that 85% of the American people are not going to be able to retire in this country. 85%. And I don't think that's anybody's intention when they started their career or their work career path. That, you know, retirement's one of those things. I don't believe in retirement. I've created a life I don't want to retire from. I do what I do because I love it. I don't do it because I need it. I've applied the principles for the last 40 years. Yes, I've had ups and downs. I've had successes and failures, struggles like everybody else, but I stayed true to the vision I created for myself, and it has fully manifested itself just by applying discipline, small sacrifices to have a lifestyle that people go, how did you do that? You know, we think we have to be some mental wizards, or we have to have super skills, all those things. They're all important, but in reality, it's just your desire to have a life that you vision. And that's what I coach on as well. So, but let's talk about this topic here, Mark, and we'll just banter back and forth.
Sure.
You know, this morning we didn't have a guest, and I said, well, let's just talk about something that people are affected by today. It's inflation. Can you see this, Mark? Let me get this up. There we go.
There you go. Now? You're there. Yep.
Okay. So what I want to talk about is how much is enough. You can just take a look at your assets and do some basic math. So let's say you want to have $1,000 a month, or let's make a retirement income off your investments, your 401k, your IRA, or your pension. So let's say you want to have a retirement income, at least 75% of your income now, say $5,000 a month. How much would you have to have in an asset generating at, say, a 5% return to have 5,000? You have to have $1.2 million to have a $5,000 a month income. Question is, if you've got it, you got to maintain it, protect it, and have good investment advice and have some strategies around that. But that's what you need at a 5% rate of return to generate $5,000 a month. So what I'm trying to say here, you need to look at your assets now. Guarantee you right now, you've lost 10, 12% of your asset base in the last 30 days. Just what's happening in the market.
Right.
So don't count on that. So how do you increase that? Well, you got to save more money. Let's say you're right now with inflation. You know, what is it? The average family's costs are going up $5,000 to $6,000 a year for the same things they're doing today. You know, the average family's only got $350 of discretionary income. That outpaces what they have. There's more month than money.
Right.
Under these current. So we're talking to individual. How does people solve that problem? Cut everything out? You can't cut your groceries out. Yeah, I guess you're not going to travel and go on vacations. You're not going to buy the new car. All these things are impacted in such a. I've experienced one other time in my life, but not as bad as this. I'm speaking my age. Back in the 70s, we had heavy inflation. We had interest rates on mortgage, 19, 20%.
Right.
We're going back to that state. We're going back there, if not even worse, some other things, if you pay attention with what's going on in the economy. So those are problems. You and I can't solve them on the big scale. There's some philosophies I would share that, your vote matters. So think about that. But on an individual basis, you have to make an analogy of how much assets you have now. What's inflation doing? It's reducing your purchasing power. Will those dollars support their standard of living at retirement? The traditional way isn't going to work.
Right.
It's going to fail. It's failing right now. And unfortunately, a lot of people are having to go back to work because of their Social Security and their pensions, the cost of inflation. They can't make ends meet because of inflationary. So, well, you may not have time to put another 1.2 million away, right? So do you give up? Mark, what would you say?
No, I'd look for another avenue. I mean, some sort of opportunity out there. I don't think a job's going to do it, but
no,
there's got to be something else out there you can do, right?
Yeah, a lot of people get a second job, deliver pizzas. And, I've done those things, Mark. And I think in our conversation, we've done them. We do what we need to do to win. But that's something I didn't want to do long term, just interim while I made some moves around the country and those type of things. And didn't want to touch my savings and investments. So I did those things. And, so you have to look at the assets you have. Are your investment returns outpacing inflation right now? You're not. So you're going to have to find new income streams. Well, I'm going to get another job. Well, you didn't put that one in the formula. That's burdensome. So what if you took that same time and you put it into a business asset where you don't have to go out and invest $50 to $100 or $200,000 in a business and have, most people go into business, they buy a job, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of vehicles out there that can give you passive income. I always encourage people to find that thing they love doing and find a product and or service that supports what your interests are. Or, I do some things in my business. I use some resources like Dub that I use in my business, and it's an affiliate. I refer to Mark. I refer to other people when they subscribe to it. I get a little bit of residual income. It doesn't sound like a lot, $20, $30 a month. But if you got 100, 200 of those people doing that because it's a product everybody could use, you're not managing people. You don't have to buy inventory. You say, hey, listen, take a look at this. See if it'll help you in your business. There's a lot of things out there. I get paid on all my marketing with Dub and Mailbox Power, my CRM system, other things that I use in my business. Great resource. I refer them to other people, and every month I get checks. So my marketing cost as a business, I don't spend any money in marketing. That's a good concept. Would you agree, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. I'm listening. Randy's Chafee's with us here. He said, Mark Gassert, yes, sir, still working. Always time to watch you and Tom, my brother. So thank you, Randy.
There's a good man. He's a great man, a great communicator.
Randy, I just want to say this, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tom. It has been really fun to watch you, where you came from and what you're doing now is incredible. Building wins, Love watching the show and love the whole persona of you. When I say this, I say it respectfully. what's going on out there in the blue collar industry, man, and the service industry. You guys do a great job with that. And the
Yeah.
guests that you have on, it's very educational.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw Randy, he was doing a walk
Yep.
down a wooded
His walk.
his walk. And I remember him stepping over a log or something, and there was a stream or river or whatever. That's the first time I saw Randy. Today he's got a great platform, he's awesome. He's awesome. You're a hero, Randy. There we go. But let's take a look, getting back on this. So you have to look to see where you're at. Do you have the assets? Are they diminishing because of inflation? How do you build those assets up? Or how do you replace that lost income stream that you planned on taking? Well, that's a linear process. You got to work. You got to put money away long term. And there's a lot of things that are putting your assets at risk: political, economical, cultural, things outside of our control, like we're seeing right now. So what's the solution? Find a business entity that will support something you love doing, or even support what you're currently doing, and plug in and invest in 5-10 hours a week extra for a year. I tell you what, I can share with anybody in this audience how to build a $1 to $5 million asset in 2 to 5 years. And it's residual. It'll be legacy income. It's not going to go away. Does it happen overnight? Does it get rich quick? No. But you're not putting anything at risk other than putting some concerted time into promoting something that would benefit somebody.
Right.
And if it's that good a product or service, they're going to continue renewing it. They're going to share it with other people. And all comes together and provides a growing residual income. You do the work once and it continues to pay you, and it will continue to grow if the right product and the right service is in place. You can't hold it back. And once it's in place, you got walk away money.
Right.
That's a concept. What's that walk away money? What would you need a month to walk away, even before your retirement? Shut your business down, quit what you're doing, go to Dominican Republic and have some. What's that walk away dollar amount? Well, in a year, 2 years to 5 years, you can have it. Well, that's a long time. No, it's not a long time, and relative to our life expectancy, right?
Right.
Would you like to have an extra 500? I tell you what, $500 a month for a lot of families is a big deal.
No, that'd be tremendous for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the difference of them keeping their house or not. It's a difference of the quality of food they put on the table for their family. So we take things for granted, but people are suffering financially more so than ever before. I've been in this business since 1983, and the numbers are the same. Actually, they're worse now, but it's because people don't understand the power of money and how to plan. We've been culturally programmed to enjoy today, no problem with enjoying today, but not planning for the future, not planning for what's going to happen when we get my age, when chronic illnesses really become big problems, or you have to go into a home. I always tell people, what's your health picture look like? Well, I don't know. I says, go to a nursing home, go in there. That's your future if you don't do something about it. That's a shock. Because a lot of those people in those nursing homes in the condition that didn't need to be in that condition if they had some sort of proactive thing. So we're going back and forth about health and wealth. But
right.
So let's talk about what's an asset equivalent. So let's say, Mark, what would be the type of income that you would be walk away money for Mark Gassert and your family? Not have to touch your retirement, touch your wife's retirement plan, those type of things. What would be that sweet number that you can just say, hey, I'm done. I'm going to do other things. I'm going to enjoy my life in the way I intended it. What would that monthly income look like to you and your family?
Just for Ginn and myself to do some other things, I'd probably say, I've thought about it, like $5,000.
Okay.
That would excite me. I mean, 500 consistently coming in, $5,000 consistently coming in.
Yeah. And you have to look at the rates of return and have an equivalent. Let's go worst case scenario. We maintain a high inflation rate. You need to have an investment return that matches that so that your purchasing power at least stays the same.
Mm-hmm.
But so right now we're at an inflationary rate of 9-10%, right?
Right.
Mark, you need $666,000 at a 9% return to equate to, if you had that asset sitting in the bank, you'd have to have that type of money set aside to give you $5,000 a month. What's the likelihood to come up with over nearly $750,000 in the next 2 years?
You mean right now with what I'm doing?
Yeah.
It's kind of limited. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the solution. What if you had a business model that in the next 2 to 5 years,
Sure,
you just introduced a product and or a service that you feel good about that people need, and then it generates 5,000 a month continuously, and it will grow. That's equivalent to having a $666,000 asset today. Well, gee, I don't want to work that hard. You know what? You're working hard already. Why not work hard, a little bit harder for the next 2 to 5 years and get something in place and never have to worry about where the next paycheck comes from?
Yep.
Because everybody's talking about big money and this and that. I'm going to break it down to $800 a month. You're going to still have to have $106,000 set aside. What's the likelihood for most families to be able to have $106,000 in the bank they can draw interest off of? Not very many.
Too good. Not too good.
Yeah. So we're talking reality here. No matter what you're making, Dave, if you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, it's broke is broke. You just have broke at a different level. Right. So you got to really seriously look at your current assets. You got to look at the lifestyle that you want. Will your current assets support what you envision? If not, you got to find a different way. I believe if you find those vehicles that are out there that generate residual income and a business model that makes a lot of sense, because it gives a person to go into a business without putting up $50,000 to $100,000, because that's typically what it takes to get a serious business off the ground, with websites and marketing and equipment. And I had a photography business before I took my first picture. I had a youth sports photography business.
Right.
I had $80,000 worth of equipment before I took my first shot, before my first contract. $80,000, because I needed high-end cameras, Canons, and 250 millimeter lenses and lighting and stuff, right? 80 grand. And thank God I had assets to invest. Most people would say, I'd love to have a photography business if that was their passion, but they don't have the money, or they go into debt. That's not a good business strategy, having debt when you have no income, right? So let's take a look at these numbers. Let's say $5,000, even $4,000 at a 5% return. You need nearly $1 million. $9
million, yeah, it's about right.
So how do we do that? You got to make some assessments. I'm not here. If anybody ever wants me to run numbers for them, I am. I come from that background, but there are plenty of great financial people within our network that they can call and be glad to run numbers for them and show them where they're at and what they can do. But understanding some basic financial principles.
Right.
Confronting retirement reality with a backup plan. If you're relying strictly on what you have, it's at risk today. I guarantee you, folks, your pension plan, your Social Security is at risk right now in a big way. I anticipate we probably have a crash in the market. So if you got $1 million today and have a 40% drop, you're down to 600,000 or less. That ain't going to cut it. So how do you offset that? Work proactively. Work proactively. If you got investments and at those times, get good, solid advice. Get fiduciaries. Understand the equivalency. How much money will you need in the bank to be able to retire? We just show that if you had 666,000 at a 5% return, or what was it, Mark, 5% or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have the time to accumulate that under current financial income. You got to evaluate what your income's coming in, right? With inflation taking away your discretionary income, you don't have money to save, right? Step number 2, how much income will your current savings generate? That's what I was just talking about. You got to evaluate that. What will that generate? Will that last you 20, 30 years? You know, our life expectancy is been increased, right? It's not 10 years anymore, 10, 15 years. It's 20, 30 years or longer. Will $1 million carry you through those 30 years? You got to be realistic on the rates of return. How does inflation work? All those things. How much income will your current savings generate? That's the little chart that we did. Anybody wants this chart, they can message me and I can get this PDF to them. It goes in more detail than we're covering here today. And then we have the gap. So you're looking at your assets. My desired income is $5,000 a month, but my investments will only generate $3,000. Where's that other $2,000 going to come from? Right? Well, you got to figure out a way to bridge the gap. The only way you can do it is find something that pays you a monthly income and you're not working for it. You work on the front end, but now continues to pay you month in, month out, year after year, all that type of thing. That is a great asset. You need to evaluate what's the gap between now and your retirement. So you can, this form will give you some basic formulas how to figure it out.
Right.
How much would a residual income stream be worth? $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month is equivalent to $250,000 or $1 million. We can go back to that chart and be very specific. And then you got to count into those things that we're not even talking about. Taxation, right?
Big time. Yeah.
Cost of your health care, not just what you pay in. We don't have a healthcare system. We just have an insurance system that protects the entities. It's a staggering what's happening in the healthcare industry. In the last 20 years, there hasn't been an increase in medical doctors, and they can't even practice medicine anymore. But there's 3,500% increase in administrators on the insurance, hospital, and they're managing your healthcare. They're determining what you choose. They determine what the doctors say they can do. Who's managing your healthcare?
Insurance companies.
Health insurance is not healthcare. Our doctors are not practicing healthcare anymore. They're managing prescriptions. That's all they're managing. They don't work for you anymore. They work for an entity that starts with pharma. Seriously, if you do some research. How much of residual income? These are I think this is exciting. It's fun. You know, if you think you can do something different, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right again. But you got to take control of your finances. Know what your income is today. Where is it at risk? How's inflation affecting you? How's taxation going to affect you? And then work proactively in a way that you can still have a quality of life. You know, work an extra 5 hours a week. Build a business that will generate $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month. I've done that in a shorter period of time. But realistically, you can do it with a lot of different entities out there. And that's one of the things we want to promote. is what is a real residual income? You can do it with real estate.
Yeah.
Right. But what is, you've heard of all things, no money down, do a little investment. Yeah. But you're going to have to invest a lot of money to learn, right? You're going to have to invest a lot of time. You're going to try those techniques, and there's a risk in anything you do. There's a risk in anything you do. You just have to evaluate the risk. So most people would love to have some real estate income. If you really ask them, have rental properties, generated income. Somebody's building your asset base and give you residual income. We all can do it, but most people aren't willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
Okay? Mark, you have any questions or any comments?
I was just going to say, what would you tell somebody? I'm going to break it down bare bones. Let's say someone has lost their job right now, or, they're barely making ends meet, and they're saying, hey, I don't have time to do this. So, and they might even be doing something additional to their, 9 to 5, so to speak, or 8 to whatever. I think that's what people struggle with, Tom. I'm not taking sides here. I'm just saying mentally, they feel like they're boxed in a corner, like, where can I go? What can I do?
Let me address a couple things, Mark. No, none of us have any more hours a day than anybody else, right?
Right.
And we see people that are running 4 and 5 business. My wife and I, between the two of us, we're running 5 business entities. Okay.
Right.
Well, where do you find the time? You find the time based on priorities. Now, I'll talk to you just like Chris would talk, right in your face. How much time do you spend watching TV? Non-productive activity. 4 to 5 hours a day. You got time. Your priorities are not right. I don't have a TV in my home. The time I spend, I can get all the news, I can get all the entertainment I want, but I don't have things that are addictive, that are not giving me positive information. Right. So when people say I haven't got time, I just call it on them. We all have time based on our priorities.
Sure.
If you set the right priorities, you'll find the time. You start eliminating those things and not supporting
right
what your intentions are. It's that simple. Go ahead. What was the next question you're going to?
Well, the next one was going to be or they're on the verge of maybe losing their home, because of the loss of job and because they didn't plan.
Yeah, that goes back to some real basic fundamentals. No emergency funds those circumstances may be outside their control. Loss of job, illness, all those things. They didn't have an emergency fund.
Right.
Well, there's probably solutions so they don't lose their house. That's a whole different conversation. But I would approach anybody is that, if you lose your house, it's not the end of the world. It's just a house.
Right.
Be grateful for your health, and you have the mental capability to overcome it and do some things. But I would encourage people, even if you're in that fear state of maybe losing your job, hey, a lot of jobs are going to go away in the next 5 to 10 years. They say 40% of all the jobs out there are going to be taken up with artificial intelligence, automation. So a lot of jobs we think are secure are not going to be secure. So what's your game plan?
Right.
Have a residual income, have a side gig, build an emergency fund. If you lose your house today, my heart goes out to you. But you know what? It's just a house. You can get another one. You can take some prudent plans. But the most important thing, set yourself up so that you're not a victim of situations outside your control. When COVID hit, good thing I had 4 other businesses running. One of them took a big hit. If that was my only gig, I would have had to hit into my emergency funds, would have had to, to get by, which I've never touched my emergency funds in 20 some years. I found other ways to make money. But if something really disastrous comes up, I do not even have to think about writing a check. I don't have I'd rather not, but I got it.
Right.
But that's because I took strategic planning to make that happen. And it's simple. The concepts are simple. Priorities.
Yeah, I think you summed it up one time when you said some people couldn't say, "Hey, write me a check for $500," or come up with $500 by the end of the week. There are a lot of people couldn't do that.
Yeah, 52% of the American people cannot come up with $1,000 in cash. They have to put it on a credit card.
Mm.
More debt out there than ever before, and that's a tragedy.
Right.
And that's sort of elevate your profits. You got to have. How do you elevate your personal finances? You should treat your personal finances like a business. Manage it like a business. Have emergency plans and have strategic plans if X, Y, and Z goes upside down. Have a catastrophe plan. Families don't do it. Your household is a business, and most people don't run their personal. They might be in a business, manage their finances in a business one way, but they handle their personal finances totally the opposite. It's a crazy thing.
Right.
What else, Mark?
Well, and then you have the they're physically unable to work. What about people like that? But it's going to happen. They still may lose their home, or they're not able to get around like you and I. Something happens that sets them back. And now they're, if they have a wife or a significant other, they have to go out and do more. And then you're talking insurance, and
there are things that happen. We get in a car wreck today, and God forbid that doesn't happen to anybody,
right.
but that does happen. Yeah, we have to be prepared if we can't physically do what we've done. If you're a carpenter and you fall off the roof, and you got to be prepared. What can you do that doesn't take that type of physical thing? If you've got this, your mind, you could be paralyzed. There's people out there that are, so how do they do it? If you've got this, you can find a solution. This is the most powerful resource you have, is how you think about things. If you say you can, you're right. If you say you can't, you're right again. Having the right mental attitude, you're capable of doing anything. With working within law, physical limitations, and all those type of things. There are certain things you can't do, because I can't fly like a butterfly at 250 pounds. Right? It ain't going to happen.
No, right? and don't take it like I feel that way, but these are things people will tell you, and you hit on it like time. My dad was a stickler for that. Don't ever tell me you don't have time. You just don't want to do it, and and that's okay. I'd respect somebody, or when someone tells you, well, we'll try, like, hey, you're going to be there tomorrow? Well, we'll try. That, just say no. I'll respect you more if you tell me no.
Yeah. There's certain words that are paradigms that dictate how people's outcome in life come. Trying is not a word you want to have in your vocabulary.
Right.
Because it gives you an automatic out. The first obstacle, most people quit.
Sure.
So there's certain things that a personal development coach, your words, your thinking are so powerful. And you got to be prepared for inflation, loss of income, increased expenses, all things we've been talking about, Mark, right?
It's not going to go away. And the only reason I'm hitting you with these is because I know my story of 11 years ago, which I won't get into, but it happened to me, where I went through all these trials and tribulations, and I was like, why is this happening to me? And woe is me. And then finally I figured out what I could do and did it and moved on. But some people just wallow in that self-pity and defeat mindset, and there are things you can do. And you hit the nail on the head. You'd be surprised what you can do when you have to do it.
And
I found an avenue in the sports arena here because I kept looking and I'm like, there's all these sports freaks out there, and particularly in the youth arena. And I'm like, my goodness, you can make $1 or 2 off of this. And when they said we need officials, we need umpires, and I'm like, well, heck, I can learn something and, get paid and do something I enjoy and be outside. Why not, take a stab at this?
that goes back to what I said. Find that thing that interests you. You have a passion for
Right.
something. Even if you got an existing business, what can you do to run parallel to add more value to what you're doing? A lot of businesses out there are transactional one-offs. Very few give you residual income, repeat business.
Right.
That's why I got in financial service to build a client portfolio that every month I continue to get paid. That was
See,
a very attractive business model.
and a person like me that knows his limitations hangs around people like you, and I just sit there and listen. And
Yeah.
that's one thing. I think another thing gets in the way of some people, Tom, is they may be looking good, smelling good, driving a great car, living in a big house, but you said everybody's broke at a different level, and
Yeah. And I can say that with statistics to back it up. And I'm saying everybody's in that boat.
No, I'm not saying everybody is, but there are some that.
One of the statistics that this just blows my mind. We live in the wealthiest country in the world. We have one of the highest incomes per capita in the world. And I'm a big Warren Buffett guy. There isn't any reason that more than the average person can't become a multimillionaire before age 50. It takes a little bit of sacrifice, takes a little bit of discipline, a little bit of commitment on some things. But man, wouldn't it be nice if you were 20 years old hearing this, that I only maybe have a window of 30 years or less, and I got walkaway income?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? So where does the money come from? You got to evaluate it. You see this graph right off the side. Does that look familiar, Mark? You know whose graph that is?
Is that Mr. Buffett's graph there? I can't.
That's Robert Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki. Okay. I couldn't see. Oh, yes. Now I see the EBSI. Okay.
Yeah. And, a lot of people look at that and go, that's hokey pokey, but that's the real world right there. You have a choice of where do you want to be? What quadrant do you want to be in? And I studied his stuff. I've applied that stuff for years. And so Robert Kiyosaki, anybody wants to know what that graph's about, get his books. He lays it out very simply. Active linear income, passive residual income. This is the one that excites me more. If you want linear income, you got to work every day to get that linear income, right?
Right.
I want things that give me passive income. I work on the front end and it continues to pay me long term. And if it's the right product, right business, it will grow. But just because of the nature of it, people will refer your services out and they're doing the marketing and selling for you. And you end up getting a piece of that pie long term. So what's your backup plan? Creating a market. Have you heard this terminology, creating a legacy income?
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, that can mean a lot of things, or I should say a few things to different people. But, to me, when you say legacy, when you leave this planet, there's still something going on out there that, you've created, not just for you, but it could be your family. It could be something that you have a passion about, a foundation,
A cause.
a cause. We could go on and on and on. And, that's a big one. That's a big one, when you say legacy. For me, because I guess, and I'm not afraid to say this, and you can strip me down, because of what happened to me 11 years ago, I feel like I have to do something a little bit more because, just for my family, because,
Yeah.
it was not a fun time. I can just, that's all I'm going to say for everybody. And
Yeah.
I went through it and I know what that's like. And it is not a pleasantry, believe me. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a lot nicer to have a few coins in your pocket instead of worrying about this, and then you figure that out, and then there's another little issue. It's like you're constantly, it's like putting out fires, and it drives you crazy.
Yeah. So I think that should be part of your vision for yourself
Oh, absolutely.
is that, how can you pay this forward to help people that are less fortunate yourself? That's one
Right.
of my missions.
Yep.
Support those causes, whether it be here in the States or around the world. There's a lot of people need a
Right.
lot of help. You
Right.
know, clean drinking water in schools and things that we take for granted here in the United States. Even in the United States, we've got a lot of issues that we can help support in our culture. So we won't get any further. We're right at the top of the
We're
hour.
at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. So, but hopefully tonight we just plant a seed, um, that, to have somebody maybe question what they're doing.
Right. And by the way, we don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does,
Oh,
but
absolutely not.
that
Absolutely not.
this is a good groundwork. I wish I would have had somebody when I was in my 20s sit me down and share all these things with me. Of course, some of these books that you've talked about weren't written then, but and I think when you're looking at things now, we kid about the younger generation. I think they do see things, even my son, like what I went through, and they really don't want a part of all that. So some of them are doing their own businesses, or they're on a higher level professional, arena as to what they do in their vocation. But they also know that at any given moment the plug can be pulled
Yeah.
because they have seen a lot.
Yeah. I was listening to a radio thing today when I was running some errands today, and an author was on this radio program, and he was talking about you don't need a college degree.
Yeah, yeah, I've
That
heard
how
this.
many of the degrees are not providing an large enough economic resource? Yeah, you need college if you're going to be a doctor and all that. But a lot of college degrees, you pay in $150,000, $200,000 that will generate maybe a $50,000 year income, and you're not going to have the resources to pay back your student loans. He talked about a
Right.
lot about that. So there's other ways to
Oh
gain
yeah,
knowledge to monetize your talents and skills, and it doesn't have to be an undergraduate in archaeology, or
right.
sociology. Those things are important to know, but are they really income makers for you? More than likely not. Not unless you become a tenured professor someplace. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
and a lot of that stuff you can learn now, even online,
sure.
or everybody would um, make jokes about a community college. I don't see anything wrong with that, as far as learning different skills. And some of these things you're talking about, like in finance, they now have these things at certain schools. Didn't have it when I was going, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't make fun of community colleges by a long shot.
Oh
I think
no.
it's helped a lot of people, get from point A to B if they needed training for something, you know.
Oh yeah.
And the one arena I'll say that we need help in is healthcare. We need excellent healthcare professionals, and I'm not just talking about heart surgeons, doctors, physicians, and all that, the like, but we need people in chemistry, pharmacy, whether you like it or not, but we need people that know what's going on out there to help us.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, you hit on it, who's running our healthcare system. And, some people will argue about it, but
the facts are out there, my friend.
yeah, no, it's true. And if you talk to some healthcare professionals or former healthcare professionals, they'll tell you,
They're frustrated. I'm in a circle of a number of doctors, and they've exited for many different reasons. Is that they can't practice what their heart desired them to do.
Sure.
In the system. They go out and do their own thing, but if they're working in the system, they can't practice medicine anymore.
Right.
And that's sad.
Very sad.
Very sad. So, Mark, I tell you what, that 2 weeks is last time we've been on.
Yes.
So almost 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's about right.
Hey, we got a guest coming in next week. It's going to be a recorded session, but we'll be posting it up. Is Joe Lovinetti. Joe is, I met him through a networking group, and we'll be talking about tying some of this here is how do you protect your assets?
Oh, cool.
Taking those steps to protect the assets in your business in a very significant way.
Oh, neat.
And I'm looking forward to Joe. He's a talented guy. He's out of California. And
all right, a West Coaster, man. That's cool.
Well, he's actually originally from Jersey, I think, an East Coast guy, but did the transplant thing to California years ago. So,
oh, neat.
But yeah, it'll be a great interview, and it's going to be a replay, but it'll be going next Monday. So, and then the following week, who do we have, Mark?
It's the 23rd of May. Isn't that a Monday, right?
Yep.
Sean Litvak will be joining us, and I'm looking forward. Sean, I have not forgot you. I will send you an update and a calendar invite and all that fun stuff with the link, but I'm really going to be excited to hear his story since he had a health hiccup. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. Some of you probably already know, but Sean's a great guy.
Yeah.
And I want to find out what he's been doing now since this has happened to him. More find out how he knew and did he know prior to being diagnosed with what happened to him. And I'm not going to tell you all the ins and outs because you're going to have to come here and watch it. And
Yeah.
Sean will explain in detail, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful he's with us, he and his wife. I don't wish that on anybody. And that's a scary thing, what he went through.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, Mark, scrolling across the bottom there is.
I see it. Oh, what is all that about? That's Mark.
Well, if you want to know a little more specifically what Mark and I are doing in and around the ASEA, the redox signaling molecule space, a science space that's absolutely turning the healthcare industry upside down in a positive way.
Sure.
This is amazing. It's not another deal. And I'm glad to be in that space where this company's growing, and I'll be able to, Mark and I and anybody else associated with the company are going to have a windfall. I missed UPS. I missed IBM. I missed all these others. I'm not missing this one.
I hear you. One of the things I'm just going to share, I won't mention their names, but two gentlemen that I worked alongside of on Saturday, not Sunday, took that gel product and, they had some positive results. So it was kind of impressive. And I just wanted to see what would happen because one was limping and then the limp kind of went away. And I said, hey, what's going on? How do you feel?
Oh, my wife's dropping pans.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. That was a perfect time for that, but it was interesting, when I asked, and these gentlemen are maybe my age, a little bit older.
Yeah.
So, and that was exciting just to watch that, because yesterday, it was some pretty high level competition, and I had the last two plates. And as always, the sun came out, the heat got intense. So did the games, but thanks to the liquid portion of that, um, the redox molecules that just kept me. I had the packet, and I for the course of the day took some hits from it, and it was very helpful.
Yeah.
So the stuff does work, and I think it's kind of fun to see when you let other people try it, and then they like look at you. It's just their expressions on their faces. I wish I would have taken a picture. I'm like, well, how do you feel? And they're like, well, I really don't feel like that pain. It's kind of neutralized. I'm like, really? Well, why do you think that is?
Yeah.
So we had a pretty wild discussion about that.
Yeah, if you'd like to find out what Mark and I are doing, you just take those bit.ly links there or reach out to Mark or myself, whether it be what we're talking about here on there or any of the concepts that I'm sharing with you. I'd be glad to help anybody out there, see where you're at, give you some direction, give you some ideas that might help you move and propel yourself in the direction you want to go. But I want to close with this, Mark. What's the one thing you can do today? That comment comes from one of my mentors. He passed away this last year, Chuck Harris, part of the EYP group. He ran a business consulting group that I'm a part of. Was on his advisory board. Now I'm running it. But every time something is taught, take something. There's something that we shared today. What's the one thing you can do today to make a difference?
Right.
In your life, your business, or whatever the case. What's the one thing? That's a billionaire's mindset. What's the one thing I can do today? Not 20 things. What's the one thing? And I just wanted to share that in memory of Chuck Harris, one of the personal mentors in my life. An incredible man, and unfortunately, he passed away too soon. So, just want to share that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, Tom.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's roll her out. We'll close down with our the thing that gives us opportunity beyond what we're doing.
Absolutely.
The ASEA. If you want to
And
learn more.
next Monday, we'll look forward. I do want to say thank you, Randy. Thank you, Christopher, for hopping on here and throwing in your 2 cents. And we understand you don't have to do this. We appreciate you and what you gentlemen do out there in the virtual arena as well as face-to-face. So thanks again.
We've had a number of people in and out, didn't leave their names or make comments, but I can see the numbers jumping on our screen.
Yeah.
People come and go. So thanks much. Share it out there, and have a great evening. Right, Mark?
You got it. Absolutely. And as I used to say, and maybe we'll have to bring back the message, man. I've been thinking about this. I maybe have to get Mark's message back here. Keep swinging for the fences, man, because eventually you will, boom, knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
That's my saying right there.
Yeah. You go up to the plate with every intention to swing, right?
Absolutely.
If you don't swing, nothing happens. So
nope.
You got it.
It's all about your approach.
That's it. Well, let's sign off, Mark. We'll see everybody next week. God bless everybody. And we're signing out.